Hey everybody, welcome back to another Resellers Report. Today is about things that I found and things that I need to get listed this week on either eBay or Etsy. Yesterday's show was all about the stuff that sold. So I kind of like this format that I'm trying out where I split up the two things. So in one show I can show you the things that I found, and then the things that where the accountability comes in, the things that I need to get listed. And then in the next show I can show you that I actually did list the things, what I listed, what I learned, maybe a little bit more when I was listing them, and then also if any of those things sold. And then I'll probably also share with you some of the things that just sold that week, if there's anything interesting that I think you can learn from, because it's all about learning, right? Okay, so today I want to just explain the things that I have here today are mostly not from thrift stores. I mean, not from me personally going thrifting, but my mother-in-law where we live near her now, and she is a thrifter and a picker and a Etsy seller. She's done more in the past when she had a little bit more availability, but she has always been on the hunt for vintage. And so she has quite a backlog stored up. And so we've kind of come to an agreement, and I'm selling some things for her. And so she also has some storage units that she had bought and things like that. So the stuff kind of comes from everywhere. But it's just kind of fun picking a picker because almost everything is vintage, right? Anyway, so some of the things I found were things she gave me a few days ago, a week ago, maybe not even that much, probably a few days ago. She gave me, and I'm gonna sell for her, and we're gonna split the profits. But some of it's really fun, so I just wanted to share some of it with you. Now, you probably have noticed this piece of awesomeness behind me, and this actually has a different story because this did not come from her and her picking. The story is that I came out here to Montana about a year ago, and it was actually a friend of my mother-in-law who has a little vintage shop in a little house, and she let me go up into the attic. And this is a story of thrifting regret, because I bought a bunch of stuff from her and I held this in my hand for a long time and I didn't get it, and I should have. And I thought about it for a year. And so it was on my mind. We moved back here and I thought, well, I'm not going to rush into it. And then finally I was talking to my mother-in-law, and she said, we were talking about her friend in the shop, and I said, up in the attic there was this paint by number, and I said, I want it, and so if it's still there, and if I want to buy it. Okay, so my wonderful mother-in-law dropped everything and went over there, and she got it for me. So I'll have some kind of deal worked out. There's a whole lot of barter things going on, and anyway, but I got it. Okay, so this is what is so cool about it. It is a paint by number. Isn't that amazing? And it's very Western, and it's so funny because this is not, I love it. I just think it's an amazing paint by number. Western stuff has never been our thing. I lived in New York, and then I lived in Seattle, near Seattle, right? And so Western motif has never been our decor, nothing. But I got it, and my husband hadn't seen it. He's like, oh, that's cool. And so now I don't know if we're going to be able to get rid of it. But the funny thing is, this is probably would sell for minimum $100. You could maybe get a little bit more for it. But there are some condition issues in it, but I just think it's so cool. So this might be another one of those Olivetti typewriter situations where I just kind of hoard something for a very long time before I list it. Then again, maybe not. I don't know. But I knew you needed to see it. Okay, so here's my other little pile of stuff. So the other thing is some of the things I had gotten from her at her house. So I had gotten, we'd gone to her house and she says, "Oh, this is worth something, this is worth something," and she'd just hand it to me. Well, then she also has, it's almost like a Thriftmobile. She went to the thrift store the other day, and on her way home, she stopped at our house. And it was like, "Here, look at this, look at this, look at this." And so I ended up getting the things that she had just thrifted like a minute ago. It was like a thrift store drove up to my house. How cool is that? So anyway, I'm not even sure if I'm going to remember. And some of the stuff she's actually had stored in her van. And so it wasn't from that day. It might have been from another day. So I got to pick through some of that stuff too. Okay, so let me just grab something at random. First off is this kind of cool thing, which I've never thought about before in my life. But it's by Well Made. It's an ironer roll cover. So it's one of those big ironing pressing machines. And it has, those things need replacement covers, and that's what this is. So I don't know particularly about that brand. I didn't search that, but like even the envelope it's in is like ridiculously cool. So other brands that I saw, I didn't see this particular one or this particular paper envelope at my first real quick glance. But it looks like replacement ones are like $30, $35, something like that. So that's kind of cool. Then is this was, I think, from her house when I went to her house that day. This is a light cover. See? So it's just ceiling, light bulb, bloop, right? But it's this like really cool plastic popcorn stuff. So, and she's so funny. She prints out eBay and Etsy listings for me. So yeah, like a popcorn plastic clip-on lampshade. Isn't that awesome? I should say, she doesn't print these out for me. She prints them out for herself, but she hands them off. So anyway, I'm going to list that. That's a this week list kind of thing. Okay, most of this actually should be, because I got to tell you, I went to her house today and got some more stuff. And my husband did too. And so it was too much to even talk about today. So I am going to get this stuff listed first. Otherwise, it won't. And it'll just pile and pile and pile. You know the story. Okay. So then that other day, this is a thrifting mobile. Find. You know what? I can't pull that one out first. Sorry. Flatware. Because other things are on top of it. So, this is just funny. These are just lids to, they're dirty, I need to wash them. They are lids to enamelware pots. Now, on my blog, which the link you will find below, Recycleista.com, I have a series that is taking me a ridiculously, I like that word today, long time to write, but it's called Selling Vintage A to Z. And I've kind of just been going through letter by letter, and I'm up to G. And I just wrote a post about Graniteware. Also enamelware, kind of all goes together. So I just thought it was funny. So I think the lids will sell. I have not looked up, they're not going to be big money, but if you have the common like cream and green saucepan or the red and white, and you don't have the lid, then you're going to want the lid. Right? Right. Okay, I'm just putting things on the ground. Okay, so here's the next thing. Can't see that one yet. Is a kitchen clock. And it's this very country kitchen, but it's plastic. It's that, well, it's General Electric, but it reminds me of that Sirocco and the, what's that other one? There's another one. I can't think of the name of it. Sirocco is one, but that's not the one I'm thinking of. Anyway, it's a plastic. It's a General Electric kitchen clock. Now, it's that scoopy grain thing. but I can't remember what it's called. So if you want to leave a comment below about what that little kitchen utensil thingy is, not kitchen, like farming utensil or something. If you would like to, you know, I got a laptop and it's new, like I mentioned yesterday, and things are happening that I don't know what's happening. Okay, so that's a clock, and I think it's a little pluggy clock. I haven't looked up what it's worth because I couldn't find one real quick with this little, because I can't think of what it's called, and like a comb, scoop comb, something like that. Man, I am full of non-information today. Okay, except vintage paint by numbers can be a good thing. Okay, I've sold a bunch of these before. They're like resin, acrylic. This one has got the sticker on it. It's by Design Gifts, original design by Design Gifts International. So I've sold, there's napkin holders, there's this, I think is like a spoon rest kind of thing, or yeah, I guess that would be, but very 60s fun stuff, and people seem to like it, so it'll sell probably 15, something like that. Okay, then here was another thing from the other day, and this I got this out of her van. Another thing, it's called The Book of Posters. So I don't know much about this one or even what it's worth, but it's about famous posters, right? You get it? So Peter Max, that's a really cool one. So whether, you know, somebody wants to buy it and just learn about collecting posters and collectible posters or something like that. So, or some of these would be really cool framed. I have to think about that one because I think someone, I have to look at the condition again. So anyway, I'm going to suggest that in my listing that a lot of those posters are frameable. They're not the real posters, but anyway, that might not be a great idea. I don't know. Okay, here's something else. It's a lampshade, but it's a painted wicker lampshade. I really don't know how old it is, but it looks like it's got some age to it, and it's a good color. It's like a, not quite a turquoise, baby robin's egg blue kind of thing, but I think someone might want that someday. I gotta get that listed. Okay, then today, and then this is where you guys can maybe help me out. This is Avon. I know I can find it real quick, probably with description, but it's this really pretty set. This was in her stuff. I did get these today, but I saw them the other day when I was there. So it's a nice little vanity bathroom counter little set. It's Avon, it's marked that, and it's kind of got an iridescent, opalescent kind of look to it. So have done no research on it at all. And so anyway, if you know the pattern or the name of it off the top of your head and you just want to leave a comment below and save me a little bit of work, that would be great. Okay, so then also the other day, I got, okay, so we were at her house, and yeah, she had gone thrifting that day, and she's like, oh, here's a bag of flatware, because she knows I sell flatware. And I'm looking at this bag of flatware that she picked up at the clearance thrift store, like the clearance thrift store, kind of like the bins, like the Goodwill bins, but not Goodwill. And it was just a bag of random flatware, and in it was Dansk Variation 5 flatware. So there's 4 dinner forks, cha-ching, and 5 dinner knives. Now, I have sold 1 dinner fork. I'm thinking it was a long time ago. It was before I was really into flatware. And I'm thinking, looking at prices now, $15 to $20 per fork is I think where it's at. And then I had sold the 3 of these dinner knives. You know, it might be closer to 20 per fork. And then I sold 3 of these dinner knives in the past couple of years for about $60. So that's about $20 a dinner knife too. So that's actually pretty good. Okay, so that was in her bag of flour that she paid, I don't even know, like less than $1 for the bag. And so that was worth it. Okay, speaking of flatware, this is where the accountability comes in. So I've been neglecting flatware. I've showed you the patterns, the sewing patterns, and I have been listing sewing patterns like crazy. I did like in one store, and this is a lot for me, but I have done like 50 or 60 sewing patterns in a store, my Etsy shop. And so that is a lot for me. And so, anyway, I haven't been listing a lot of flatware. So at one point my husband's like, well, I can help you list flatware. So it means I have to prep things for him to list. So I pulled out the bin that I have of stuff that's as close to ready to go as anything I've got. And I looked through it and I divided it and I wrote down what it was and I wrote down how much to pay or how much to charge. And I thought, this is great. I did the research, which is my favorite part, and I got the, I divvied things up, and then he can take the pictures and list. But then, he hasn't done it yet. And then we kind of came up with this other idea, because we're always changing things, where we're going to drop I have the, kind of the bigger store on eBay. Not the anchor, but the next one. 1,000 listings, and it's too much for us. I've been trying we broke 400, and that's as far as I can get. But the next level down of store on eBay is 250, and I was like, oh, that's too little. But then I remembered we have another account. That's just like we had used it for some other listings. My son listed on it a couple years ago. So I was like, you know what? We could turn that into a basic shop, and I could have a basic shop, and the two of us, he could run that one, and I could run this one, and two shops that are 250 each would be about 500, which is about where we need to be, and it's about $20 less per month to do it that way. So I think that's the plan. So we decided it made more sense for the eBay store that I have to keep going with Flatware. And since I'm listing on that one, to keep things simple, I am going to do the Flatware that I prepped so nicely for myself. So anyway, accountability, here we go. Here's the Flatware that I prepped. It's not too terribly difficult. So it's mostly Oneida, because that was kind of the bin, but I wrote myself little notes. So it really will just be, I did all the research, it really will just be, every day hopefully throw a few listings up there. I might try to just take the pictures all at once, probably tomorrow. And, okay, so by the next video, by my sold video, in my listed video, I'm going to show how much, well, all of it will be listed, I promise. Okay, I got to see what I have room for up here. But I'm definitely going to list that dance Flatware first, because that's fun. And those will go in my Etsy shop, because that's where I do my fun stuff. Okay, two more things. These were kind of cool. This is another thing that my mother-in-law, I think I remember her telling me when she found this before, and I was like, old Monopoly. It's one of those things I always thought, oh, it seems like it should be good, and then it turns out not to be good. But I don't know, like, prices might have gone up recently. So I had seen in one of the groups I'm in on Facebook, someone had sold an older Monopoly and got like $90 or something, and I thought, I don't remember the prices being that good. Okay, so this is an older Monopoly game. Obviously, the queen of obvious. And I'm going to show you. It's got this board, Monopoly. Kind of cool. And the date here is 1935. But there's some other things I have to figure out. Okay, so the date there's 35. I have to figure out the age of these. So there's more research I need to do, because the good part is that I have the wooden pieces and they have the writing on the Grand Hotel. Isn't that cool? And then all the little houses are wood as well. So that's cool. And it's got a couple dice bakelite, maybe. We'll test those. Now here's the thing. There is a lot that you can tell from the tokens, is what I'm learning. So I've got the tokens. Now there's an airplane token, which was only out at certain times, right? They only use the airplane token certain years. And there's some of these other ones, like you can look and see what years they use things. Now, what's interesting to me is that the airplane token was used in the early 50s. So I don't see another date anywhere else on this box. So I'm trying to figure out how old this is. But it might not matter. I might just be able to put the whole thing out, let the Monopoly game collectors figure it out, show them what tokens there are. What I love, it's got this little card in here, and it says, "This is the famous white box set of Monopoly with double supply of slip finish money, grand hotels, and removable compartment tray to be used as a bank. $3.50. So that price might help me date it if I do some more research. So yeah, everything's like nice and neat. I have not checked if it's complete. That would be great. Yep. It's got the money. So yeah, money hasn't really changed much. And then what's cool is it's got these two little inserts. Okay, and so Monopoly, and I think it's showing this, and maybe if with a little magnifier I can see what kind of tokens are up in that one. But you know, that's the hard part, is that sometimes these get put in, you know, if there's a date on these, that could just be when they're printed the first time, and it doesn't necessarily mean that's when it, you know, it was actually from that year. Okay, so then it talks about, that's what I want to use in my listing, the white box edition. So that's what you'll see on listings, number 9, white box edition number 9. So entire equipment, white box with a removable bank. Grand hotels are stamped in gold. The set is equipped from 2 to 10 players, so I guess the number of tokens would help. Okay. And then that one, that's instructions, short rules. So then the other thing that's in here is this Monopoly. Brief idea of the game. Okay, rules for new short games are on a separate sheet, so both of those are supposed to be in there. This has a copyright of 1936 on it as well, but that could just be when the rules were copyrighted, right? And yeah, I don't see any other date on here. So I don't want to make any crazy claims. I'm gonna see if it even says on here what the tokens are. Nope, it just says tokens of various designs. Okay, so that doesn't help. So if the airplane is supposed to be in there, then this is a 50s set. Okay, so I don't think that's a bad thing, because the number, white box number 9, and it's very complete, it appears. And so I'm gonna shoot for $100 for that one, because of what I saw some of the other ones in similar condition go for. The box is pretty beat up, it's taped and such, but okay, so we're gonna shoot for that one. So we'll see. I'll let you know how that goes. Now this is another fun thing. This is in the back of my mother-in-law's van, and I almost it was like she has things that I didn't even know she had. Okay, so you know I sell sewing patterns. Now one of the things that's really good as you're researching sewing patterns and you're looking up sold high and you're sorting highest to lowest, it's almost impossible to miss the fact that a counter book. Okay, so On the counter at a sewing store, they would have a book, a catalog of the current patterns. And I guess you could look through that and then tell them what pattern you wanted, and then, or, you know, they'll get it from the little drawer for you or whatever. So the pattern books sell for good money. So look what my mother-in-law had. Look at that. Oh, this side's better because it's not all ripped up. McCall's, February 1966. So full of super funness, hugeness. Now the only problem is, which I forgot to tell her about this today, is that somebody decided to cut out the ones they liked. Anyway, so it's not, look at that, trolls. It's not a deal breaker. It's just not, you know, I was probably going to shoot for $100 for this too, but I can't get that much because there's stuff, like here's a page. Somebody cut, probably this lady, off of that side. So it happened a few times in there, so that does make the value go down, but I enjoy sitting here looking through it. Anyway, so I think that is everything for today. And so, no, it's not, because it's the best for last. So today we're going through some things, and she opens a box. You're not going to believe this. Franciscan Starburst. Little, probably luncheon plate or something. Look at this. So I have to decide whether I'm going to sell it or if I'm going to buy it from her. Because it's so awesome. Okay. That is all I have to share with you for now. So, accountability, the Flatware for sure needs to get listed. The Monopoly game needs to get listed. A lot of those odds and ends are really cool, and I should really focus on listing them so I can get into the next amount of things that I have. So, I hope you had fun and you saw some things. If there's anything in there that you see that you know more about or that you have a comment about, please feel free to leave a comment. And then also feel free to subscribe, because I will have more finds from my mother-in-law's Thriftmobile and her thrift store at her house. And I will also be sharing what these things sold for when they finally do sell. Have a great day.